Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. I'm Doug. Hello. Model shipbuilding. It's a scourge of the modeling world. No, that's not true. That's not true. They are notorious for having the most vague, undistinguishable instructions of all models. There's a bunch of different kinds. Uh, some of your better ones will come with a pre-carved hull, a slab of wood that they've already shaped for you. Some of these are antiques, and this one's so heavy. This is a big one. Just some of them will come with the hulls already, you know, roughed out. Others you will have to basically build the entire hull yourself with ribs and planks and keel boards, and you could find them even on Amazon for as low as $10. I've seen them. I've got a few of those cheap $10 Amazon little trawlers, and they're the same idea. Real. There's no hull. You have to make the entire thing with the same idea. The ribs, the planking, kind of a pain, but still, it's not horrible. I mean, it could definitely test anybody's patience and push them to the breaking point. There's also the plastic models. Even the plastic models can get pretty intense. If you're a beginner, I would stay away from some of the crazier models with all the rigging and stuff like that. start out simple, so don't turn you off to it. It's a lot like they say flying an airplane. You can't just jump in and do it. You have to kind of start somewhere, start small, get better and better at it. What else? There's a lot of tricks, little things. Sometimes you have to, soak the wood in warm water and shape it because it needs to be bent, and it's not going to want to bend. It's fairly brittle to begin with. You end up breaking a lot of pieces. Sometimes the plastic, even though you would think it's like a wood model, but it's got plastic components. This is this old antique also, and this one, like a lot of the older ones, they have these little metal, they're actually like lead. I think they're lead because they're really heavy. This is, probably from maybe 60s, 50s, 60s, I think. I'm not even sure about this one here. The 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe the 40s. I don't even know. This also has those same metal type of parts. Big, heavy cast iron or lead pieces, but look how old. There are instructions and stuff, but most of them, the instructions are the worst. They're just so vague, and you really have to use a lot of self-engineering, a lot of improvising. In most cases, it seems like you have to figure out quite a bit of it on your own. There's another antique. I've never even really dug into this one. What else? I was going to try and put this one together. Mahogany? Real tomato catcher, Betty? Some people say mahogany is kind of hard to work with for modeling. I really don't know. I've never used it, but unfortunately this kit's already half assembled, and there's, I think, stuff missing and everything else. But I'll take you over. Old model Sunfish, very common, popular beginner sailboat. My dad had one as a kid. He wouldn't shut up about how great it was. One thing I always do, because with these wooden models, whether it's an airplane or a boat, a lot of times they encourage you to put the pieces right on the directions, you know, pin them down directly to it, and then glue them. So I will make copies and use the copies instead of the original. It's one little trick I learned. What else? Safety pins. I always end up going through a lot of safety pins and little clamps. You always need a bunch of little clamps. A couple good little hobby knives, hobby saws. Do a lot of cutting, trimming, a lot of sanding, a lot of sandpaper, a lot of emery cloth. Mind no toys. Turn a better light on. A lot of sanding, a lot of trimming, cutting. Sometimes the pieces are cut really pretty nicely with like a laser die cutter. That's not really a thing. Oh, it's either a laser cutter or a die cutter. The die cutter is a stamp. It comes down and pretty much cuts 80 to 90% of the indent so that you can finish the cut pretty easily. The laser cut usually goes all the way through, except for a couple little spots that hold it together, and you just nip off those little spots. Generally, those are easier to work with. Laser cut's the way to go, but that's more modern. I imagine if you've got a laser engraver, you could actually make your own. I was thinking about giving that a try, but I don't have the cash for something like that at the moment. It's been getting cheaper and cheaper. I mean, they were thousands of dollars. Now they're a couple hundred, probably $300-400 for a base pretty cheap one. And die cutter, it's not really something a DIYer would have. That'd be pretty impressive. People can do it. You can build your own little stamping machine to punch out parts. That's for mass production, really, though, not for a one-off model. But here's some of the framework. It's all busted up and needs to be repaired. But looking, this is the full instructions, and God, are they ever vague. I mean, there's like almost no actual instruction. The parts for this boat are all die cut. It can be easily pushed out. Keep all scraps, don't throw anything away. And it goes on about the assembly, and it's pretty vague. Cut 2 pieces. Cement these on the keel piece. I could go on and on, but there's actually not one single video on YouTube about this particular boat. There's a couple that are very similar, but none of this one particularly. And I don't know if it was extremely expensive. It may have been because it's mahogany or something. I don't know. I can't even find a price for it. But anyway, so I will try and finish it, or see if I can progress. What the heck? I don't think that belongs to this. Somebody's homemade propeller. Pretty interesting. This is all from curb shopping. A little dumpster dive action. I'm sure that doesn't go with it. Bet you that don't go with it. I had dumpstered over, as my dad used to call it, curb shopping. A gigantic box with tons and tons of model boat pieces and parts. Some were, still in the box. That's what got my attention to stop at this pile of trash. A couple big boxes I seen and recognized. I'm like, oh, geez. There could be empty boxes or they could be unopened models, but in most cases they're like half assembled, half missing, no instructions, no parts. This has got parts in it from 10 different models, little cannons and stuff that definitely don't belong with this model. Windlass winches, yeah, none of this is for the sailboat here. I don't know how all this other crap is in here, but what I don't see, which I may have in a different box now that I think about it, there's a couple boxes that are just full of crap pieces. It looks basically like this, but there is like a couple dagger boards, lead weighted dagger boards. This must be the rudder. Here's what's a couple die cut pieces that aren't pushed out yet look like. So punched out, but not quite all the way. Sometimes it can be a real pain in the butt to cut out. Yeah, it's a good example of some die cut. Laser cuts would be all the way through, except for a couple little tiny spots holding it on there still. Almost like this one, almost looks like it's laser cut, but it's not. I don't believe it is. That's a little piece of plywood. It's actually pretty sturdy. These are bottoms, maybe? I know the top part's got the little cutout for the cockpit. Oh yeah, like right here. So all this must be the bottoms and the sides, which I really don't know how the heck. It's so flimsy. I feel like if you look at this wrong, you're just gonna crumble. It's better than balsa, but not by much. But I'm trying to repair this busted up hull. Put on anything that's missing, which is probably a bunch of stuff from the looks of it. Spider webs and cobwebs. I wonder where this one goes. 3C. This tells you 3C, maybe. Those are 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't see the letter C anywhere. Yep. As vague as possible. There's a couple pictures here we can kind of work with. 7, 5, 5, 6, 7. Maybe this broke and you made a new one. That's always something that happens quite a bit. They'll be cutting out your pieces and they break. You have to like remake them out of a scrap piece. He's got hot glue, super glue. It's a weird hot glue. That's a really good hot glue. Whatever kind they use using there. It's high quality. It's almost like plastic. It's almost like melted plastic. I got cheap Amazon hot glue. It's not that good. Should have spent the money and got the better stuff. Not really realizing how much of a difference it makes. There is a big difference in hot glue. Yeah, I bet you this was a piece that got broken and you had to remake it. This looks like he's got parts that still need to be cut out. I don't think that's supposed to be there. Oh, maybe it is. Or no, those are supposed to be removed. It looks like one's there and one isn't. It's so weird. I need to concentrate on getting this part squared away. Putting all these on. Touching up the glue on some of these. Unfortunately, I have a bunch of these. I don't see them in this package here, so I'll have to use my own. That's fine. And doing a bunch of modeling, I do have quite a bit of wood modeling pieces. Which are going to come in handy, I think. Go grab some stuff. Yeah, fortunately, I do have quite a bit of modeling wood back from when my job was letting me work as much overtime as I wanted. I was doing 7 doubles for 7 straight months, taking home like $5,000 a week. And there was one month I made $30,000 take home in 1 month, which was more than I was making like in the entire year before that. I lost more in taxes than I ever made, but it gave me endless money to throw at a hobby, and I was like jumping from hobby to hobby, never having time to do them because all I did was work all the time. So I had mad piles of this stuff. It's this weird trade-off where I had endless money to throw at a hobby, just no time for it. Now I have the time for it, and no money to throw at it. But in this case, I had stockpiled and squirreled away like a shit ton of balsa wood and modeling pieces of wood. Fortunately, I have wasted a lot too. I tried building stuff, it didn't work out, and I just ended up throwing it in the bonfire, using it for target practice. But let me grab some wood here. Yeah, I was pretty lucky. Honestly, most of the jobs that I've had, I could never work that much. They're either too physically demanding or too stressful, and you did not want to work overtime. In fact, you hated it. I was so comfortable with my little machine repair gig. I could work. I could live there. I could be there 24/7. It did not bother me one bit. It was pretty physical. I was doing like 16,000 stairs in an 8-hour shift. But I was comfortable. I was comfortable with it, and it did not bother me one bit to be there forever. It was it was really nice. One of the most important things in life, if your job is doing what you love, they say you never go to work, and it's true. It's something I never really recall guidance counselors or peers stressing. What do you want to be when you grow up? Nobody ever really says, find something that you really, really enjoy doing. Because people go, oh, welding, or you really can't enjoy welding. Welding is tough in theory. In your head, it seems like it'd be a cool gig. A lot of girls want to do it. But in practice, welding sucks. It's the worst. It is terrible. It is so hot, and you get burned constantly. Everything you touch is burning, screaming hot. Sparks are flying down your ass crack, your pants, down your boots, in your shoelaces. I don't know. You don't realize it. It seems good in my head, but then to do it, it's not that great. Welding is a really good example of that. See a lot of kids and a lot of girls like, I want to be a welder. Yeah, I mean, it sounds good when you think about it. In theory, it is. It seems really like a cool trade. But to do it for a living is the worst. It's pretty bad. I'm not like diminishing welders at all. It's a hell of a trade. A lot to learn. Endless. You wouldn't think so? It's endless amounts of learning. There's so many different metals, different techniques, different materials, different welding rods, materials for that, different temperatures, different settings, different processes. It's just endless. It's a career of learning. It's also a career of flash burns and sunburns and sparks in your butt, burning holes in your clothes. My point was only how important it is to find something that you love. It's not easy. It's not easy. A lot of times it's the personnel that can make or break it. Fortunately, there was not one single person. And this is the only place this has ever been the case. Everywhere I've ever worked, there's always somebody I frigging hated. And that was never the case. There was not one person. There was like 100 people, probably even more. I think there may be 200 people per shift, over 1,000 people altogether. To not have somebody that you totally hate out of that many people is so rare. It's so rare. I don't know what it was. It felt very family-like. Everybody felt like we were in this together. And the union was the type of union that you would never leave something for the next guy. You never left work for your union brother. You would do all you could to make your union brother have less to do. It's hard to explain. It's not a good explanation. But you would never be like, oh, let's just leave it for the day shift. You wouldn't do that. You would finish it, so the day shift didn't have to deal with it. That type of thing. You really didn't do too much of arguing or bad mouthing each other. It was really, really frowned upon. You don't bad mouth your union brother. You help him out if he's struggling like that. It was a really weird dynamic. A lot of places when somebody struggles, a lot of people like to make light of it. Be telling everybody, oh yeah, Dougie screwed up, Dougie made a mistake, something like that. Really making light of people's weaknesses. That's just an example. But you really could not do that with a tight brotherhood union. it was really frowned upon, and people would get on you, say, well, what did you do to help him? Nothing, but you're going to sit here and say he sucks when you didn't even try to help the guy, you know? Very interesting dynamic. Pretty cool in a way. Unless you got on their bad side, which a few people did. I've seen some people that threatened to sue the union because of scheduling got a little messed up, and you're supposed to be scheduled, you know, seniority wise. We'll just say, for example, you wouldn't be working Saturday and Sunday if people below you had Saturday and Sunday off, and you had to work it. You could complain about that. The people below you should be working Saturday and Sunday, you know. This is just an example of one example of a million. I think that's exactly what the case was with the one guy. Kept getting stuck on the weekends, and he shouldn't have been. There was a whole bunch of new hires that should have been doing the weekend shifts, and for some reason, because they didn't like this guy, they kept stuffing him out weekends. And then he maybe sent a letter from a lawyer threatening, and boy, the union got on him after that. I think he ended up leaving the union and going into management, turning in his union card because he didn't think it was worth it, and they were getting him so many problems that he went to the other side. So you really couldn't be a certain kind of manager and in the union. It was like a conflict of interest. It was like you were one or the other. You were a supervisor, a manager, or a union guy. In some rare cases, you could do both. I was lucky enough that I was in charge of an entire shift and still held the union card. But I was also like one of the bosses that was, everybody wanted to work with me. There would people be arguing about getting on to my shift. I had it pretty good with the union, and I even switched to 2 other unions, bounced around the different positions. There's a mailers union. They're all separate unions. There's probably 6 or 7 different unions at this place. There's engineers, there's electricians, machinists, which I was. There's press printers, which I was previously. There's mails, the mail room, which is a huge department, probably the biggest department, which you wouldn't think so. He's in the mail room, but you know, they handle everything that comes in and goes out product-wise. Millions and millions of copies of ads and newspapers and all kinds of stuff. The mailers union, very strong union. They were connected with, I want to say, the government union. Somehow they were in with the government union. That's AFL, CIA, not the American Civil Liberties Union. That's not it. CIO, whatever the heck the government, one of the big government unions, CSEA. I think that's the one, maybe. I can't remember, because I was never affiliated with them. But anyway, I was a Teamster for quite a long time. In the International Association of Aerospace and Machinists. But yeah, there's a lot. I'm just rambling on now. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8 different unions in that place. There's a writers guild. Yeah, there's probably even more now that I think about it. The office people and the pre-press, darkroom, all these people had different unions. The writers guild, the graphic artists guild. Guild is a weird name. When I was younger, I was like, whoa, you picture these dudes with swords and shields. That's just another way of saying a union. I do remember it sucked. The initiation fee, I think it was like over $1,000. Quite a chunk of change back in the day. Yeah, I remember not being too happy about that, having to pay that. And one time, one of my union switches, they weren't taking out union dues for 6 months, and they tried to hit me with it all at once. Shit like that would happen occasionally. Mistakes or something where you have to pay your union, and that always sucked. But at the same time, dudes were getting in trouble for pretty radical stuff and not losing their job. So we never had time clocks. So people would fake their hours. It was real common. There's so many people there that if you were in the right position, you could get away with it. And people were stealing overtime, saying they were working overtime that they were not working. And they would get fired, and the union would get them back in. They'd be back to work in a week or two. In some cases, they would do it the same exact thing again, but the union wouldn't save them a second time. And one of the electricians got burned doing that. He's a good electrician too, so they brought him back. The union fought for him. The electricians union was able to get the guy back, even though he had lied about something like $60,000 worth of overtime that was in question. And the dickhead did it again. It wasn't that long either. It was only like 2 months into it, and he was doing it again. They audited my department over and over because of me working 120, 128 hours a week for 7 straight months. They didn't believe it. They did not believe I was doing it. They thought it was bullshit, and I never lied about one single hour. I wasn't like that. In fact, there was times I stayed and didn't even count it. More often than not, I was giving hours away and not stealing hours. You know, I've been here for 14 hours, one more hour of finishing something up, even though I wasn't going to get paid for it. Did not bother me in the slightest little bit. That's just how comfortable and how pleased I was. It was ideal. It was an ideal place. Yeah, we were HR, accounting. They were up our ass all the time. But it was a department that had like 18 guys in it, and then we were down to 5 guys. It's like, well, what do you expect? Of course we're going to be working more hours. You've got that many less people, it should be balanced out. You know, you've got way less people, but the 5 guys that are there are all working overtime, which adds up. And in the eyes of accounting, it doesn't make sense. They don't seem to get it. HR would get involved. They would, you know, kind of explain how for each guy in a department, there's a lot of costs for the company as far as uniforms. You know, you had to get paid for uniforms, insurances, you know, if they were in the 401k or profit sharing, whatever expenses or, you know, things that the company paid into per employee, that was all pretty expensive. So to have way less employees working overtime, in their eyes they weren't seeing that they were saving money that way. saving money on uniforms, insurance, you know, contributions to 401ks, retirements, pensions, all that. Somebody had to explain it to them. You know, going from 18 guys to 5 guys in a place that was 24/7. It never closed ever. No holiday, no anything. It was non-stop, 24/7 operation, 365. So you had to have people on those shifts. You could not have people working. And some of the unions would put in their contracts, you know, if you didn't get more than 8 hours notice that you were going to be working overtime, like if the company springs it on you last minute, then you would get like triple time instead of time and a half, stuff like that. There was ways that people, they used to come to lobster shifts that were making like 70, 80 bucks an hour in the mailroom. The old lobster shifts. If something would go wrong with the press would have a whole nother shift of guys coming in. The mailroom may not, so they would have these people that were already there stay, and they would get ungodly hourly rates because it was short notice. That was just one example. There's a ton of stuff, you know, holidays and manpower requirements. So there's the machinery required so many people to work it. You know, if the machine took 3 people and only 1 guy showed up, you could either pay that guy triple time, or he can say, I don't want to do it. He was not obligated or forced to work shorthanded, because there was manning guidelines that if your machine took 3 people and there's only 2, you would have to pay them extra for it, or they could deny doing it, say we don't want to do it shorthanded. That was one of the weirder things. So I could see why a lot of non-union companies go absolutely berserk when there's talk of unionizing. The companies will freak out. I'll shut this place down tomorrow. You know, I'll cut all your pays right in half. Or they'll start buttering you up and offering you more money, or profit sharing, to not bring a union in. So all you have to do is have a vote. It has nothing to do with the owners. It has nothing to do with the management or the owners. It's the employees. If there's 100 employees and they can convince a union rep to come in there and have a vote, and they get enough votes, then the union will it'll turn into a union shop. You'll start paying union dues. Which usually aren't too bad. Union dues weren't excessive. It was $10, $20 a paycheck. Trying to think of some other instances that the union really saved people's asses when they were disciplinary. Like the one time a guy came back from lunch 5 minutes late, and the supervisor flipped out and told him to go home for the shift. He was so upset about him coming back from lunch 5 minutes late, and the union fought for him and said, would you have sent, you know, Sam Cavalieri home if he was 5 minutes late? Or Timmy Zielinski, would you have sent him home if he was 5 minutes late? For you to single this one guy out they ended up getting him, you know, paid for the rest of that shift that he sat at home. That was one example. And I don't think the guy who did it, it wasn't like an ongoing issue. He wasn't consistently taking long breaks, I don't believe. He was somewhat of a disciplinary issue, but not enough so for the union to not stand up for him. It's hard to explain. They'll only stand up for you if, you know, you're not a huge pain in the ass, you're not always getting in trouble, or if you're doing a good job. If you suck, you're not doing a good job, and making a bunch of problems, the union's a lot less likely to fight for you. I mean, you know, people come in there reeking like weed. People complain. If they liked you, they would just say, "Oh, Doug's got a pet skunk." You never heard about Doug's pet skunk? But if they didn't like you, they'd be like, "Oh, send him for drug tests," you know. And they have a nurse's station on site. It was tough to beat. You'd have to have something in your locker because they would test you right then and there in a nurse's station. You wouldn't leave until you peed. So it was a lot harder to beat than a traditional go to Office Works or Health Works and get a test tomorrow. I never had to do that. Just one to get in. They could random test you if they wanted to, and they did occasionally to people that they weren't happy with. Or if you damage something, let's say you crashed a forklift and damaged equipment, they could then do it if they thought you were a problem, or if they didn't really like you that much. You know, if you were in with the union, they wouldn't do that. They would never do that to you. They would let you slide on it. They wouldn't drug test you or whatever. But if you're a pain in the ass and the union didn't really care for you, or you're a big disciplinary problem, just, you know, drug test them. And you wouldn't even get fired. So if you fail the drug test, you just have to go to, I think, maybe 26 weeks of counseling, drug rehab counseling or something. They didn't fire you for it. You could fail the drug test and still have a job. So I know a few people that crashed forklifts, and you know, in their case, it wasn't really neglectful. They were very good, hard, fast-paced workers that had an accident because they were hauling ass, trying to do the best that they can. Circumstances. But he smelled like alcohol. He was one of those people that liked to drink in his car on break, and somebody had smelled it right after he did some thousands of dollars of damage, just tapping a piece of equipment enough to damage it severely. He just happened to back into it. And then one guy had lifted the forklift forks too high and caught the sprinkler system. That was a bad one. One dude took a forklift with a full pallet of product onto the people elevator. That was a bad one. He was stuck in there for 6-8 hours, did like almost $100,000 in damage. The union got him back, and he was somebody who got suspended a couple times for different shit, and they still got him back. I mean, what a stupid move. They have 2 freight elevators, and for some reason he stuck everything. This is somebody that's been there for a longest time too. He drove his forklift, a loaded forklift with a giant pallet full of shit that barely even fit on there. I don't even know how the fuck he got it in there. You can see at the very top, scratch marks. He's trying to claw his way to get the doors open and stuff. But yeah, that elevator was out of operation for a long time. Cost a lot to fix it. He was gone for at least a month before the union got him back. I don't think they got him retro pay either. So a lot of those cases, you get paid for the time you were suspended if there's a union rep fighting for you. But that was just stupidity. I was really surprised that they brought him back because he was an issue. A lot of people did not like the guy. Nobody got along with him. He was real hot-headed, huffing and puffing, always yelling and screaming, starting shit. I got on really good with him, but I was trying to help people out. Most people wouldn't help the guy out. They'd watch him struggle, make things worse, try and compound the issue. You know, if they see him struggling, they'll do things to make it even worse. Start messing up skids, putting wrong counts on stuff, making the machine not work right. I'm gonna go grab something. Yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that tirade. Going on and on about it. Super glue takes moisture to cure. It'll cure on your fingers like in a split second because there's a decent amount of moisture in your skin. This wood is drier than a Whistler's biscuit, and it just took the super glue didn't want to dry. So I tried using this accelerator, instant adhesives accelerator, to make it hot glue. Just plugged in my hot glue gun so I make it that a whirl. Yeah, super glue. If there's no moisture present, super glue takes a very long time to cure. But if it's got moisture, it'll cure in a split second. Yeah, give the old hot glue a try, which is what this guy was doing. I've never seen hot glue like that before, though. It's almost like it's plastic. It is intensely hard. My hot glue is still kind of soft, almost like caulk in a way. Caulk. God, I love caulk. This was missing a part that snapped off. That down there. There's not much here to work with. I should try hot glue, super glue. Have it. They're such a rip-off inside it. Here's the smallest little tube ever. Yeah, even glue in my hobby heyday, I was spending $100 a month on just super glue, or $30 a month, and wood glue. Super glue's fairly expensive. Dollar store has those little bottles, but there's like 4 drops in those things. Doesn't pay to get a bigger bottle because shit dries up and gets ruined on you. Get a big old $30 bottle of it and the thing, it's wrecked. You use it once and it doesn't work anymore. It hardens in the bottle. This one's tight. Can also sprinkle different powders to strengthen super glue. Like I have a bag of baking soda that in certain cases, if you need something really rock hard, you sprinkle that in the super glue. It makes it real hard, like cement hard. Dust. It may very well be dust actually. We've been it. Another fallen soldier. Goes through so much of this shit. Modeling. Building stuff. Loctite's the better shit. Better stuff. I may be out of it, that may have been the end of it. Oh, no. One more. Thank goodness. These are $70 a bottle. It's still recording. Did I hit the record button? No, it's done. Whoa, this is a lot thinner. Spotted for those. Are we printing? Yeah, we're printing. Close enough. the guy who hit the sprinkler, the water main, that did over $100,000 damage. It was right in the area that they had a gigantic amount of storage, product storage. He lifted the forks up so high that it caught the pipe on the ceiling, burst it open. It took him a while to get it shut off. It flooded the shit out of the place. There was water everywhere, flowing down the elevator shafts and all kinds of shit. I think they did end up drug testing that dude, but he passed it. He wasn't a user. Things. I think they wanted to bust, you know, they're probably dying to catch drugs or alcohol in the system because of how much money and damage it was. Maybe I screwed up. I should have mitered that. Let's see if that's the right way. Ooh, that's terrible. That's terrible. It's better than that. It's going to be much steeper. It's not even that good. Can't get cut off. I don't know if it's true, I'm sure it is. A lot of model boat builders say that super glue degrades rapidly if it gets wet, or you use it in a boat where it's in water. Super glue will quickly fail. I don't know that to be true. I would imagine these guys aren't making it up. Hot glue strings, I hate those. I do love the smell of hot glue though. It smells divine. See there, Bubba. Putts. That whole piece off. See what they mean for the mahogany is pretty brittle. I'm sure because the set's like 65 years old isn't helping. Oh, strip that on me. I hate the feeling of super glue on my skin. much. Better than that one. Two. 'Feels like it's empty. I put such a little amount in them things. Oh, wait a minute. 3M Cubitron sandpaper is the best stuff. It is unbelievably good. This is for one of those rotary sanders, but it's so good that I use it for everything. It's going to be a bit of a stretch. Not very precise. About the super glue, it has the ability to draw itself into those open areas. There's a name for that, miscubal or something, where it just wants to go into those voids where this stuff doesn't. It's not the case with hot glue. But it's much better, it feels much sturdier. Ooh. Everything I touch just seems to break. I wonder how old this thing's, how long it's been sitting around. somebody's attic for 40, 50 years. Looks like that's everything on that part. Oh, showing that. That looks like it's going to be tricky. The sides and the bottom. This looks like one of the sides. This looks like one from the other one. They're the same. They show the more squared off end to the back. Get out the way. Good thing. Why they call it gel control. Up all this glue. Should be using hot glue. That went out pretty decent. Hopefully it's how it goes. it on the whole thing until I'm sure I've done it correctly. I hate that I'll glue the holy hell out of something to find out I gotta take it off. So I did it on the order, or did it backwards or wrong, or some BS. Dougie special. It's just a little too watery. How long this video's probably already been an hour. Showing it. Good. Let's just go the distance. Just gotta get on pieces. Must be a cutout somewhere for that dagger thing. You're supposed to cut that part out, maybe. Yeah, it fits all good there. It's a good fit up there. Not here. It's off a little bit ski. I could probably work with that. Give it a shot. Actually, about that. So I have to do a little bit of trimming. It's pretty far back. That does not seem right. It's not going to be both these pieces. What the boing. better. That's, oh my god. Shit's everywhere. Since these pieces quite go together perfectly like I would like. Looks like they're a little on the big side. Doing some sand trim versus hose. That's gotta go. So messy. Smells really good though. Fucking hot glue. I know it doesn't come off those cutting mats. You want to get hot glue on your cutting mat, it'll never come off. Sure, get that just right. Normally don't use this, but it's got a brand new blade and it seems to be working out good. I'm not going to cut away too much. I'm going to leave some of it there and pick it off once I get it glued down. In case I'm wrong, in case I'm off, which is very possible, very, very likely to happen. Super glue. This is almost empty already, Jesus. Maybe I gotta dry it up again. Just dry it up again. Freaking gorilla. I do stuff like that a lot. Too much pressure and just you're destroyed and shit. It's also brittle. Airplanes are the worst. They're built so lightly. Boats really shouldn't be like that. A boat, you can use some heavier materials so things doesn't have to be ultra lightweight like an airplane. It shouldn't be so thin that it crumbles in your hand. It's not balsa wood, for God's sakes. It doesn't have to fly like an airplane. It can be heavy. Ow. Don't like when it happens, because then the diver sits down again because of all the dried up glue and shit in the way. That should sand it down completely and start again. Ouch, got me. That's why I don't get a professional hospital diver. They can end up in the emergency room. Those get real hot. Those professional ones get hot enough to give you some serious, serious burns. Get to the dollar store. I think I'm sniffing the shit I buy so much of it. Probably like, what, you got a meth lab going over there? Sniffing the super glue. What went wrong? This needs to be trimmed quite a bit. Is that the problem? Look how big it is. Better off trimming the straight part more so than the curved part, I think. This could get interesting. I didn't realize it was going to be that much bigger. One second, let me get set up here. Straight edge. We're talking. It's quite a bit. It's afraid. Must have had to cut off that much. Oh shit. We get normally wouldn't be using this type of blade, but it's nice and sharp. It just gives me nice straight cuts. Leave a little bit on and sand it off. Should cut this one back a little, I think. It shouldn't be over the center line. It should be halfway. Should try to trim that off. occurred to me before. It should only be to the center line there. I gotta hate these microphone wired mics are the worst. I gotta plug in anyway. Whoa, an hour's 34 minutes. Where's my charger? Battery's probably nearly toast. Let's see. 16. Good thing. That was close. That was pushing me. A lot of pausing, a lot of jump cuts. You're always going to have gaps, it's inevitable. These models, some small gappage happening. shot. Oh my god. This will take a week to upload. Here's a good example. Like if it comes undone, you try and glue it back down. The glue residue keeps it from sitting flat. I have to take a razor blade there. I should go maybe make another part 2 because this will take forever to upload. I can't believe it's almost 2 hours already. craziness, and all I did was yammer on about nothing. Happy modeling. I don't know. Have a good day. Bye bye.